Good evening, day 11 of Build Your Belonging. And yeah, this is a much later broadcast than previous sessions, and that's because we're away this week and we've been on the beach all day, and we actually had a surf lesson. Me and my daughter had a surf lesson this afternoon, so it took us kind of like well into the evening. And so yeah, we've come back down to earth now, and yeah, settled and ready to catch up. So yeah, as you can see, it's much darker. It's much later in the evening for me to be going live, but yeah, it's been a really epic adventurous day. Caught some really good waves. My daughter surfed for the first time, and just yeah, it was amazing. Really like wholesome and wholehearted stuff. So that was great. So let's get into today's topic, which is triggers. So it's really important that we talk about triggers, because even with, the best of intentions and the most calm, peaceful, amazing life and existence, we are going to get triggered. And I know, actually, I think recently the term, I'm triggered, has been quite overused maybe, and I'm cautious of kind of saying that, but I think it's something that is used very quickly without any maybe real understanding of what's going on beneath the surface. So I think it's important to touch on it, because we can build our resilience, and we can be working really hard on ourselves, creating this peace and calm and this sense of resilience and confidence, and something can happen and boom, it can make you feel 5 years old again. And it can be really impactful. And so I want to speak to it, and I want to share a practice with you tomorrow that will help you move through triggers. And I just want to give you a bit of insight into the way that triggers work. And essentially, a trigger is a button that is pushed on an old wound. And something happens to us earlier on in our lives. It creates a wound, and we are wounded in some way, and often we then adopt a belief about ourselves or the world around us or the people around us that we then hold as a core belief. So when a similar situation arises, which these things often do, it really presses on that button, and we can be immediately kind of returned to that old feeling. So I'll give you an example. Today I was meant to have made an arrangement for someone to be at my house. I was meant to have notified someone that I wasn't going to be at my house this morning, and that they could access to fix something. They could access my house by going to see my neighbour and picking up a key. I totally forgot to tell the person that I wasn't going to be there, and that they would need to go and collect a key from my neighbour, which then led to them standing outside my house for 10-15 minutes, probably quite annoyed. And I didn't see the message on my phone, totally forgot because we're away, and immediately kind of went into this sort of state of panic, like, oh my God, I've let someone down. That's a trigger for me, and if you're someone that identifies as a people pleaser, which so many of us do, then that's going to be a big one. If you think you've let someone down, that's a big deal. And it's easy to kind of step back and rationalize it and go, well, look, mistakes happen, and yes, all of that is true, but if that button has been pushed, it immediately activates the wound. So it activates the old wounding, and we go back into the kind of original state of when the wound originally occurred. And of course, that feeling will build up over time. So, often the thing that you're reacting to in the moment isn't even really the thing. It's something historic, something that has happened to you way before. And that's why you can almost sort of say to yourself, like, God, I'm being really silly here. Like, this is not a situation that I need to be reacting to in this way. But you're not really reacting to that situation. You're reacting to old wounding. So I immediately went into, oh my God, I've let someone down, and that just makes me feel awful. And then the second belief that I run is, I must not make mistakes. I really must not make mistakes. I must not get things wrong. And that is a core belief a very challenging core belief that runs throughout my entire life, and as you know, as ultimately, unsurprisingly, has led me to demonstrate like perfectionistic tendencies, like I must not get things wrong, which leads to me procrastinating, maybe not going for things that I might go for because I'm worried about getting things wrong. So you can see how something seemingly simple, if you like, can actually create a really big issue. And you know, I'll be honest, that worry about letting someone down and making a mistake has been with me all day, and I've really had to hold myself through that, and also having a really amazing day on holiday. So it's, you know, it's this being able to hold complex emotions at the same time. We can hold challenging and we can hold really positive emotions at the same time, and it's, you know, it's not easy, but this is the work. You know, this is life. This is, if we want this kind of wholehearted full experience, then being able to hold these things at the same time is, you know, is what we're working towards. We're really building our resilience and building these muscles. And tomorrow I will share a little bit more about how to move through triggers. And actually, as we go through into the next few days, we really start to look at, you know, what's really sitting beneath the trigger, what's really sitting beneath this situation that has maybe reared its ugly head for you, and how do we get to the belief. And that's really what I want to encourage you to do, is to start to think about, what are the things that seem to be regularly triggering you? What are the situations that you find that just keep coming up again and again and again and generating that same feeling? And you can start to see a common thread that then runs through. So, for example, for me, I must not let people down and I must not make mistakes. And of course, if I was then to take that one layer deeper for you, because if I make a mistake, then I'm a bad person. If I'm a bad person, then I'm not worthy. And if I'm not worthy, then I'm not lovable and I'm not loved. And that's the deep, deep root of this. But what sits on top of that is a whole load of other things. So if you can start to, you know, get a sense of, what is this thread that runs through this reoccurring trigger, you can start to mine for meaning beneath it and really get to the core of it. In my experience, most of our triggers will lead to some sense of lack of worth, or, you know, feeling unlovable, unloved. It's often worthiness that sits beneath most of it. We can normally mine enough layers down to recognise that it's a lack of self-worth. I'm not a good person. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough, which kind of sit together in the same cohort of beliefs. And the other thing that I think is interesting about triggers is we might then avoid the situation, like, oh God, that person really triggers me, therefore I'm not going to see that person, I'm not going to speak to that person, like whatever the situation might be. But of course, that's not how life works. You know, we might avoid one person, but I can guarantee you there will be someone else that will trigger you in the same or similar way. You will keep butting up against these things time and time again. And so here is what I want to propose to you, is that when this happens, this is an invitation to look deeper, to go deeper, and to figure out what might be going on. And then, what is the unmet need that you have that resulted from this original trigger? And I'll help you get back to the original triggers, the original trigger points. But I want you just to come back to this mindset of curiosity, like, okay, this situation keeps coming up for me. It keeps creating a same or similar belief. If I'm curious and I'm going to be interested in, you know, I'm going to see it as an invitation to go a little deeper and figure out, like, what is the wound here? What is this trigger about for me? What does this situation, what does this feeling remind me of? How does it really make me feel? Because there'll be an initial, oh God, that's not good, that's not good, that's not comfortable. It might cause us to kind of essentially run away, shut down, ignore it, you know, that sort of fight, flight, freeze response, which is normal. It's your body doing what it's designed to do. And you know, if you've been working through these videos and kind of stretching your capacity to hold the discomfort and be curious and look for possibility, then it's now starting to take that a little bit deeper and thinking, right, what is this? What is this for me? Because these are the things that I guarantee you will have the greatest impact on your happiness and your well-being. If you can get some clarity on these triggers, it is a game changer. And we're not looking for external validation, external answers here. We're not looking for you to fix it by someone else coming in and kind of, you know, changing their behavior. It's about your need, your unmet needs. And most of them, by the way, come from childhood. Even with the most amazing parents, you will have unmet needs. And how you get to meet those needs now as a grown-up. So often it's, you know, how can I love myself more? How can I accept myself? How, you know, can I remind myself of my worthiness, even with all of my faults and failings, because we're human and we all have them. So that's it for today, and tomorrow there'll be a short practice to help guide you through this. But here's my invitation for you, and really the main thing I want you to take away from today, so is to see, you know, triggers. Everybody has them. Everybody has wounding. Completely normal. There isn't a single person on this planet that will not have wounding of some kind. And when I say wounding, obviously I don't mean like a physical, well, you might have physical wounds, but I'm really talking about the emotional wounds. And when we press on those, when we're in situations that press on those buttons, I want you to, you know, see these as an invitation to look more closely at what's going on and see if you can get a sense of, what does this remind me of, and what is the belief that I might be holding about myself or the world around me based on this button being pushed. And holding a mindset of possibility and curiosity about how can I maybe go a little deeper, and looking for the need that has not been met. For example, I don't feel loved, I don't feel worthy. Amazing. Thank you so much. Please let me know any comments, questions in the comments from the live or via email. I'm happy to answer any questions. And let me know what you think. And then I'll be back tomorrow with a practice to help move us through with triggers and wounding. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. I'll see you soon.